Hey, everybody, this is Rory McDonald from MacDon Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Rory. I have a good friend in the studio today. Super pumped to have him in. We're going to be talking through social media marketing and strategy in some ways with that. But Tyler Osantowske, we go way back, which I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit too, reminiscing just before the cameras turned on, which is all good. But tell everybody a little bit who you are, what you're all about, some of your background, and what has led you to kind of being in the Metro Detroit area, a little bit of an expert when it comes to the social media side of things.
Yeah. So like Rory said, my name's Tyler. I actually I started my career in the church world. And I work with teenagers, work with families, but I was always a young guy on staff. So like when anything came to digital, it always fell in my lap. It was always website, live streams, social media. But I also like grew up in the social media world. Like I remember when Facebook started, like I remember when Instagram took off. Like I remember these weird things that like we could sign up for and become friends with other people and, you know, all this fun stuff. And so I like kind of grew up in that world. And I left the church world about 3 or 4 years ago, and I started thinking about, you know, where are my gifts, where are my strengths, and I really landed on, you know, maybe I can make a career out of being in the digital world of some sort. So I took a job in digital marketing. I, you know, worked for a company that not only, but they essentially do all of the digital marketing for GM, and did that for a few years, and then over the last year, I said, hey, I know where my gifts and my strengths are. Maybe I could do this on my own. So I launched a company just under a year ago and really just helping out businesses with their social media space and just really kind of understanding, but really learning how to like really use social media in a way that's effective with people and all that fun stuff. So
I love it. I love it. And just to give people credibility behind it too.
Yeah.
As of right now, we do not work together.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But the point to having Tyler in today was, one, to have you on the podcast and lift up your business, because I really do think that you do an amazing job.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Of giving really good content for people to be able to tangibly use. So if you guys are out there and you can follow this guy, you need to follow him on. I follow you on Instagram more than anything. But being able to look at some of the stuff that you put out there, some of the suggestions that you have, I think a lot of people, at least in my space, in the real estate world, I feel like they could benefit from that a ton. But you also have clients that you're working with right now.
Yeah.
What are some of the spaces, small businesses, realtors, things like that you're working with right now? Like, what are some of the areas that you're currently in?
Yeah. So I kind of, you know, when you get into like the social media management space, you know, there's some people that go the way of like kind of niching themselves in a specific niche in a specific market. I didn't really want to do that because I kind of, you know, I have experiences in a bunch of different spaces. Like I said, I started in the church world. I'm in the automotive space now. You know, I've got a ton of friends and relatives that are in the real estate. And so I kind of branched out. And so right now, like one of my clients is a real estate agent. I work with her. She's super awesome. She's out of the Ann Arbor area. And so we're in there. We work with clients and still in the automotive space. You know, one of my clients is a president of a big nonprofit that is all about educating people about automotive safety. And, you know, just across a few different spectrums of where we're working. And, you know, it's cool. We work across all sorts of social media platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, obviously they're the two big ones, but across LinkedIn, website stuff, that's kind of where we're at. So it's been cool. It's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, all right, we're going to get into the nitty gritty now. Yeah. Let's get into it. That was dynamite intro, Tyler. Perfect. I appreciate it. Yeah. So one of the things I'm going to speak to the real estate side, because this is quite honestly all that I know. Yeah. So when it comes to the real estate side of people just getting in the business, there's a multitude of different ways that we use different platforms. And I consider the phone even a platform, right? So I call people, I have conversations with people who are selling their houses on their own as a means of, hey, if this doesn't work, would you at least be open to the idea of us sitting down and me showing you how I can potentially help you? If not, it's all good, right? Like that's one of the ways. Obviously, Facebook, social media, there's leads out there that you can go and you can purchase. There's a lot of guys who do social media leads, outbound lead type stuff. Yeah. But one of the things that I've noticed with a lot of real estate agents coming in is there's this expectation that because I posted, I got my real estate license, or I'm a mortgage broker, or I have my insurance license, or whatever it is, or I sell candy or whatever it is. Like immediately there's this expectation that people is just this mass amount of Metro Detroit is just going to flock to you and go, hey, I heard that you got your real estate license. I've been waiting for this day that you got your real estate license. And now finally the day has come and here we are. I'm ready to work with you, you know? And it brings me back in a lot of ways to what we were talking about in my office. Is just like, what's the point behind social media? You know what I mean? Like, what is the idea and what's the point behind it? Because in a lot of ways, it's easy to get lost in it.
Right.
You know, you can use social media or social media can use you.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to get on that piece a little bit too. Like, what's your heart behind it? What's the point behind social media coming into it from your mindset?
Right. Yeah. So kind of like I said, like I grew up in the social media space. So like I've kind of seen the development of social media platforms, kind of where, you know, algorithms have changed and where their focus is from the company side of, you know, those that have developed these apps and these platforms and whatnot. And I've kind of watched that over the few years and really I noticed it kind of what you're saying is I actually noticed in the church world a lot more is that churches and ministries and whatnot, they were using social media platforms as essentially a billboard, right? They're saying, hey, look at these events we're doing, look at these things that we're hosting, look at me, like, look at me. And really, I feel like with social media being so popular, and there's so much content out there that people can absorb. I mean, that's kind of, you know, it's a big reason why social media can get a bad rep is because there's, you know, we just sit here and scroll and scroll and scroll. You know, that people see through that nowadays and people see through, you know, kind of the facade of, hey, all the only content we put out is just, we want to see you here. And as I kind of stepped out of the church world, I started noticing that with businesses as well. You know, they'd only promote or they'd only, you know, be active on social media when they're trying to promote a sale or a certain product they're selling or whatever it may be, service, whatever it may be. That's the only things that we're putting out there. And so, you know, I began to think, well, what if social media isn't actually made for that? You know, there's advertisement. Obviously, every company needs to be marketing themselves in some sort of way. Mm-hmm. Obviously, in the digital space, it's important because, you know, websites and social media platforms, they're the front door to your business nowadays. You know, people are going to go check out your website before they walk through your door. They're going to go look at your Google reviews. They're going to go, you know, check out your Instagram if you have one, or your Facebook page, whatever it is. And so this is their front door. So advertisement's important. Like it's still a big part of social media, but what if your actual platforms were made for something different? And so I started thinking through that and said, you know, how can we shift that focus? And really, what if we saw social media platforms less as a billboard, less as like lead generation, and really began to view it as a way to build relationships, a way to build a brand, a way to either start or continue to build relationships with your community, with your clients, your customers, whatever, you know, whatever sphere that you influence. Mm-hmm. What if you used your platform for that and saw those platforms as that, like changed your mindset that, hey, you know, like you said, I got my real estate license. There's a bunch of leads all of a sudden pouring in. That's not going to happen. Like, that's not how social media is made. It's not how it's made to work. And so like, let's shift that mindset and really see it as building relationships over anything else. Yeah,
no, I think that's true. We talked about it a little bit. Like reality is you mentioned the billboard side of it. And a lot of people, they do view it that way. And there's a piece of it that it is a billboard, right? Like I'm going to post the information and I want to have, yes, hey, here's Rory McDonald and he's, you know, this real estate agent in Clinton Township, like that exists. Right. But I'm noticing it becoming so much more within my world, within my business, to the point that I get frustrated with other people out there. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about this a minute ago, where it's like, I have friends, I have other coworkers and things like that, that it seems like the only thing I ever see them posting is like, here's the key. Right. You know, here I am standing with my client in front of this house that I sold. Look how great it is. I got it for X amount of dollars less. And they said that I'm the best agent in the world, so you should say it too. You know what I mean? Like exactly. It becomes so much about them. And that's one of the things that I really try hard to make it about our clients. Right. Like, and again, this isn't the heart behind this is to bring you up and have this be about you. But I just, like it's part of the reason why I had you on, is because I think that we think so similarly in this way, where it's like, no. We're talking about a family that has been generationally never able to own a home.
Right.
And now they own a home for the first time. Do not make this about you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the huge piece for me.
Right.
Which, like, I'm glad that we are face to face on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's, when I think about it too, is like, when you think about what you're trying to like communicate, especially in like using that as an example, you've got a family that's generationally never been able to afford a home, and now they're able to. And the story in this whole context, the story is not, hey, you sold a home. The story that matters in this whole thing is that a family's life has just completely been changed, and the direction of their legacy and their family and their kids and their kids is changed. And like, that's the story to be told. And really, when it comes to like social media, like that's everything. Is what story are you telling? Are you just telling your story, or are you telling the story of other people? And because you're right. I mean, there is a side of social media that you still have to advertise who you are and what you're doing. Like, the end goal is still to build your business and bring on new clients, but it's not as immediate as some people treat it and see it as. So,
right. It's kind of the like, are you trying to run a marathon? Or are you trying to run a sprint?
Right.
Right. Like, is the goal to just have one client, or is the goal to build a business where people know that you are a resource for them? Right. So you mentioned this a minute ago. What are you trying to communicate? I want to sit on this for a minute.
Yeah.
We talked about the pillars and some of your pillars when it comes to your business, or what you, when you're communicating with other local businesses in the Brighton area or here in Clinton Township or wherever it might be. Basically nailing down, what are your pillars? What is it you're trying to communicate? What is it that your community needs? Right.
Right.
And being able to kind of solve that.
Right.
So can you, just for the listener out there who's like, hey, I don't know what he's talking about right now.
Yeah.
Can you help us define what are some of these pillars? What are some things that maybe people listening out there can kind of self-evaluate their own social media in this moment and go, hey, what are my pillars? What are the things that matter to me? Just kind of help us navigate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the things I do with anybody that comes on as a client of mine, and works with us, and one of the things that we do right away, the first step we do is we sit down and we establish, essentially they're called content pillars. What are your content pillars? What are the pillars of content that you want to put out for your community, for your client, or for, the people that are following you? What type of stuff are you putting out? And so it can look different per business. Obviously, every business serves a different purpose and whatnot, but, is really evaluating like what is it we evaluate? What is it that your community needs? So like in the real estate world, a lot of real estate agents look very similar in terms of, what they're trying to do in social media space. And, so a big pillar might be, hey, how are you educating your customer? How are you educating your community? How are you celebrating what's going on in their life, or, what's the big story? How are you communicating? Because essentially that's what you're doing, is how are you communicating a story? And so it'll look different per business, per client, what it may be. But the reality is you're really answering the question, what is it that your community needs? What is it that they, what is it they need? What is it that they want? And that might not be your service. That's okay. But you're really setting the table for when they need your service, when they want your service, that, hey, you've built this relationship with them online. You've created content that's engaging, that's something worth taking in, right? We talk about how we just sit here and scroll through our phones and scroll on our computers and all through these different platforms. Are you creating content and putting stuff out there that's actually helpful for somebody, that's actually building a relationship with somebody? Or is it just something that's pointing them back to you? Look at me, sell. It's a mind shift. It's a mindset shift that you have to make, and really thinking, and it's humbling yourself and figuring out, what are these different pillars that you can create? What are these different pieces of content that you create that help people? Yeah. And that's what you got to figure out. I mean, that's everything. For sure.
Yeah. So, within your business, obviously there's help me. help me to describe it and explain it.
Sure.
So like within your business, there's the consultative side of your business where you sit down with other local businesses and basically do an evaluation.
Right.
Hey, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? What are your pillars? What is it that you're trying to accomplish for the community? Let's see what your social media is doing now to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And then there's also an aspect of you basically going, hey, I know what your vision is. I know where you want to go. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
yeah. So it does kind of break up into those big things. Like there's clients. The reality is like, there are clients that are, hey, I want to learn more about social media. I want to learn, how can I optimize it? How can I be more effective in it? How can I reach more people? Whatever their goal is, because everybody has different goals to social media. And so I'll come in and I'll help with that. I'll sit down with them, ask those branding questions of, what are your goals? How do you think you can get there? Well, hey, here, based on my expertise, like here's a good plan that you can go moving forward. That is one side of it. Another side of it, and kind of more of the side that I'm more hands-on with, is like that management side of saying, hey, I'm going to sit down. We're going to, we get into this partnership together, and I really want to help you succeed. Either these clients are they don't have the time for social media. So, I've got a client that's like, I get why it's important. I get, what I need to do, but the reality is like, I just don't have time. And that's okay. Cause you see that in a lot of, small businesses. They wear so many different hats that social media is like on the back burner. They're like, this is just something I can't do. I don't have time to sit down and create graphics or, post this or engage with my community or whatever in this way. And so that's where I'll come in and say, hey, what are your goals? Really, I want to understand the business, because ultimately I can come in and say, hey, here's your business. Let me run social media for you. Don't even worry about it. But the reality is if I'm not coming in and I'm not understanding the business, I'm not understanding what really their voice is, then I'm going to start creating content that's in my voice and not in theirs.
Sure.
Because that's my goal. Is I want this to be social media has to be as personable, as relational as possible. And so I, in a way, come in and try to create content that matches who they are as a brand, as an organization, as a business, whatever it is. And so I'll come in and really try to understand who they are as a business, so that when we get into, these talks about what type of content pillars, what type of content are we putting out, it's in a way that, this is still them. This is still their business. So,
for sure.
So I'll come in, and anywhere from like content creation to social media management on their different platforms, we're all hands on deck for that. So it's something that they don't have to worry about. They still have say in, obviously, like anything that we post for them or we engage with on social media is all approved by a business first. Because again, we want this to be in their voice and match who they are as a brand. So that's kind of the two different sides. It's the consultation side, but it's also the really hands-on management. Hey, let us handle this for you so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
So,
no, I love it. Obviously, there's people out there who might be listening and going, dang, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I need.
Yeah.
For those people out there, first of all, we're going to talk a little bit more. I would love to, because I care about social businesses here, social media, and I care about small businesses here in Metro Detroit. What I would love to do eventually, and we got to talk through this and figure out strategy and dream of what it could be, but have some sort of seminar for the small businesses that exist. So if you've been on the podcast, you will receive a phone call from me and a personal invite just from me. And possibly Tyler too, to come out to our office, to sit down with Tyler and to have basically an evaluation like you're talking about, and building of your knowledge of what it is that other businesses are doing to be successful, as well as Tyler here basically running the show, because this is your world, bro. This is not mine. But for those out there who are like, hey, I don't care when this is happening, I'll figure that out, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in hearing more, and I'd love to sit down with you, Tyler. Obviously, I've had your website, the foryouSocials.net, scrolling across the bottom of the screen. How else might somebody give you a call, reach out to you, get in touch with you in order to kind of pick your brain and figure out their next step?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, the easiest way is just to head to that website. That's got all my information on it. You can go there and you can connect with me directly there. I'm across, obviously, as a social media guy, I'm across social media. So like, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, feel free to hit me up. Like I pretty much accept anybody that will follow me or add me as a friend on Facebook. I'm like one of those guys. And so feel free to hit me up there. And I'd love to partner with you and be able to figure out a way to serve your business.
Yeah, I love it. Very thankful for you coming into the
man.
studio
Thanks
today, all the
me.
way from
Appreciate
Brighton, Michigan.
Oh yeah,
coming to the CTP, Clinton Township, Michigan. Excited to have you and excited to see what this becomes. We're going to do an evaluation of my social media post this show. So I'm excited about that, but thankful for you all for tuning in to today's episode of Tuesdays with Rory. We're thankful for you guys. Besides that, you all have a very